Hello, everyone. This is Eric and Chris with PotStocks.com. After the groundbreaking and first-of-its-kind event, the Marijuana Investor Summit, we wanted to take a live look in on some of the thoughts and experiences that the opportunity offered. We're here to discuss the event, and let's start at the most reasonable place, that the Marijuana Investor Summit, held on April 20th in Denver, Colorado, was the first of its kind. No other cannabis event has ever been held of this size. Experienced group of investors were there, with inventors and an overall talent pool of unprecedented levels. There is a congregation of forward thinkers for the industry, and Chris will start with, what do you think it means moving forward for the industry as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, so the event itself went off basically without a hitch, and we had a whole lot more people there than was expected, I think. I think we broke into 1,000 or so. But in my mind, I mean, I think it's cemented kind of the nucleus of the industry and who like the really like serious players are. Or I mean, I know there's more people, in the Northwest that maybe couldn't have made it, but for the most part, every big name that you could imagine in the industry was definitely there.
I agree. I think the people that did end up making it, it was obviously very important to them to make it, so it set a precedence for the level of exposure that you can expect, and also just the professionalism that can be expected in the events moving forward, since it was the most well put together one, to my knowledge, so far in the country. It really is going to set a precedent.
Yeah, and I mean it was the inaugural event, so we kind of anticipated some hiccups, but it worked out really well, and all the exhibitors and the speakers that showed up, I mean, everybody put their best foot forward, and it was, I mean, it was a trade show. There wasn't, I mean, it was a little strange because there's a lot of marijuana, but it was really professional, and all the companies that showed up had great booths, great exhibits, and we're just basically there to network and make money.
I agree. The other thing about that was so interesting is that the professionalism was not limited to people that are business savvy, that have a lot of experience in the business world, that have been there for a while. There were a lot of exhibitors that had literally just started or had not even started yet, that were just there with a really good idea or concept. So it was really nice to see that they were taking themselves seriously. Obviously, the ticket price kind of predicated that in a way, but I would have expected there to have at least been one or two people putzing about that didn't really come there for what they thought they were coming there for. In that, I would have expected a couple people to just kind of show up and really botch it. But everybody that was there, that I talked to, that you talked to, that we ran into, I think everybody was on their professional foot. They were in their suit and tie and ready to go. And as you actually pointed out, the attendance of about 1,000 people. I don't know the total numbers, but there were definitely at least that, because the keynote room was gigantic.
Yeah, it was packed.
It sets a good precedence for the standard of the events moving forward and how they're going to be expected in the public eye, because this got really good coverage, and there were a lot of writers there that we ran into, and I'm sure there were probably a few that we didn't. So the media coverage was obviously there. So what do you think moving forward that the precedence that this set is going to set? Does it set the gold standard, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. There's other business conferences nationally that do similar things. I think there's like the Cannabis Capital conference or something like that, and there's a few other ones that are kind of regional. But I think this is going to be the top tier event for the industry going forward. And I think one of my favorite things about it was that it felt like everybody was on the same team. There is a fair bit of competition in the industry. I mean, a lot of people are trying to do a lot of the same things. But it seemed like the vibe that I got from everybody was that everyone was kind of in it together. And I don't know if that's going to maintain, but I hope it does. And I think it was a really good tone to start off with.
I agree. So you were the one that did most of the in-work originally. I can expound a little bit more on the direct involvement and work at the summit, but why don't you go over how originally you got involved with the summit and what got your foot in the door there?
Yeah, so I originally I set up a profile on Cannafundr, CANNAFUNDR.com, and that is run by Randy Shipley, who is a partner with MJINews for the Marijuana Investor Summit. So Cannafundr with Randy Shipley is linked up with MJI News, Marijuana Investor News. That's MJInews.com, with David Friedman, and they basically co-hosted the event, and they kind of reached out to me. When they saw I was doing potstocks.com, a big part of what I could bring to the table was creative stuff, design, and that kind of thing. and little bit of operational organization type stuff. So, they reached out to me and were like, "Hey, man, you want to want to get involved, be a part of it?" And I said, absolutely. Um, and it just kind of took off from there.
Excellent. So, being at the event, there was a lot of different moving parts to it, obviously, as it was the first of its kind. We did a lot of face-to-face schmoozing, I guess would be the operative term for it. There were a lot of people that needed to be talked to, and the exhibition floor was full of people basically at all times of day. The first day was a little light on getting ready, but after that, people were into the exhibit hall at about 7 o'clock in the morning. So there were certainly no lack of people that needed to be guided, escorted, talked to. I know that I personally liaised the bus tours back and forth from the dispensaries, which was an excellent marketing and networking experience for everyone involved. The IT stuff. So there were a lot of moving parts. It was the first thing that's ever been done like this, so there was a little bit difficult to expect, and it was really nice to see everybody from all walks of life get together to really make that thing hammer home. The registration desk on the first day was an absolute chaotic place to be, so it was nice to see everybody step their game up and really maintain composure and keep it all together. So I thought personally that it really couldn't have gone better, all things considered. There were no major malfunctions anywhere. I thought all the speakers went through excellently. Everybody was on their game, and very, very particularly, and I have to give a wild shout out to Bob Keegan, the trade show manager, who just really, really put some work in and got that thing where it needed to be. Bob was excellent.
Yeah, he was cracking the whip. No, Bob was the man. I hope he's there. If we do it at the same venue, which I suspect we will in the future, and if we have the opportunity to work with that again, I hope Bob's still around, man. He's great.
I could not agree with you more. So our keynote speaker was Kevin Harrington, who has been on Shark Tank. He's looking to get into the marijuana industry. I've done a bit of independent research on him before, and now a little bit more after. You had a little bit of time to talk to Kevin, so give me the rundown on how he was, his level of interest, and just what you experienced there.
Yeah, so I mean, Kevin is well, first of all, he's super easy to talk to, and he's really interested in the industry. I mean, I think he sees all the same stuff we do, in that it's the end of prohibition of a commodity, which doesn't happen, maybe once in a generation or two. I mean, last time was alcohol. So he's really excited to get involved in some way, and he's very product oriented. He obviously invented the infomercial, so he's interested in things that he can productize and sell through media, which is a great thing to have. So he was very interested in like some of the gadgets that were there. I think I saw MyDX talking to him, and he was super interested in them. They're like a chemical analyzer type gadget.
Yep.
And then I know I talked to him about the Groove Tube, because I had an opportunity to, and some other stuff that was there. So that's where his head's at, and it was a great keynote speech, and shoot, I hope he joins us again too.
I agree, and that's a good segue actually for us, because one of the interesting things that we had talked about while we were there, and for anybody that did happen to be there, the conference, and I think the world of legal cannabis as a whole at the moment, because it's so new, it kind of falls into two really distinct areas. You are either owning a dispensary or something related to literally the plant itself, touching the plant,
Yep.
or you're kind of in an idea realm where you're dealing with finance, maybe data analysis, tech streams, stuff like that.
Yeah,
We saw a decided lack of products. There only being an actual handful, MyDX being one.
Yep.
The Vapor Connoisseur was another.
Ed Wong. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, Ed was incredible.
Vapor Connoisseur. I definitely have to give them a shout out. They were on the exhibit hall, and their booth was packed the entire time. It was really hard to like get Eddie Wong is the guy who runs it. And he was telling me he used to work with another public vapor company. I don't know how much history he wants to go into, but and they were killing it. And yeah, again, another example of like just a really professional attitude towards the whole summit.
Yeah, they shined, I think, really really well. There was obviously the Groove Tube, which was an actual product, something tangible that could be purchased. A lot of it was ideas, a lot of it was marketing, and I know I talked to Akuba Credit, who they had sort of mixed feelings because they primarily do revenue stream analysis and efficiency. So they were, they're a company that looks a
Yeah,
lot at that.
it's a it's a market that's still immature. So I think there is definitely a lot of space for ancillary businesses, but if your business is based on analyzing months or years of revenue, it's going to be really tough to get into the space, I think, because it's it's just not there yet.
It's not there yet. The companies
Yeah.
don't have that type of data because they're just starting. So, I know that we talked. The gentleman's name is now escaping me, but we did talk to the nice couple that are looking to start a cannabis-friendly coffee shop. They basically modeled their
Oh yeah.
business after an Amsterdam coffee shop, a
Oh,
cannabis-friendly
was
user
that
area.
Mad Hatter?
Mad Hatter, that would be it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they were also in a very unique place, which was interesting because I believe if I'm correct, they were the only ones, if memory served, that had a concept that was quite like that, where they needed a building that would house something that was cannabis related like that. So
Yeah, there was that was an interesting concept. I know there were a few different companies there that were dealing with coffee related products, but
mhm.
theirs was much more about establishing a venue as opposed to a product or a coffee related technique type thing.
Yes, yes, and it goes to show you how there's a lot of there are business people that are looking to get into the cannabis world, and then there are people that are in the cannabis world looking to learn business.
Mhm.
So as the two worlds begin to collide and there's a fusion between them, I think things will get a little bit better. In Kevin Harrington's keynote speech, he was very big, as you pointed out, on productizing yourself, which is something that I think and I hope everybody there took to heart. You need a logo, you need a face, you need a name, you need something tangible that people can really grab onto.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
at the end of the day, you have to. It goes back to just about any entrepreneur 101 thing is that you have to be solving a problem, helping people in some way, and then you can sell that.
Yep, yep, I agree. So on that point, one of the big things that we took from that, and one of the lessons that we really learned, on top of the productization, is having the real tangible product, because of what we saw in the alternative was a lot of investors, and even which we'll get into in a second during the Shark Tank. You're looking at people that had really, really stellar ideas in a lot of cases,
Hmm.
but since they don't have tangible product, there isn't data to analyze. There aren't revenue streams to take a look at. There's no
Yeah.
expenditure model that you can take from an industrial organizational standpoint and assess. It's really hard to get some of these people with a lot of money behind you.
Yeah.
Was one of the things we really took from that.
Yeah. I mean, it ends up becoming less of investment and more just like speculation at a certain point. But there's also a space for that, and I met several investors there that were just really interested in the very, very early stage companies. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think the ones who did the best at the summit already had a product, had a brand established, and um, and were just seeking to move that forward. Um, they definitely, that was another thing that came out from some of the sessions, was we talked about how you don't go in seeking $10 million on your first investment. You go in seeking $100,000 to proof the concept, and then in your next rounds you establish greater and greater investment, um, and that's definitely the way to do that.
Yep, I agree, and that takes us straight to the Canna pitch and the Shark Tank bit that went on there, which was nice. There was a panel of very very respected investors and business minds that were up on stage with Kevin Harrington, who were pitched for cannabis related ideas. And to your point there, one of the first one, the one that I think pretty much universally went over the best, was our last product, which was
Yeah,
essentially a grow station.
Eden, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
It was a self-contained grow platform that basically a small, almost like I want to describe it as like a lava lamp, but that's probably not a good description. Like a globe, like a glass globe that is self-contained. Comes with everything you need to grow whatever style, designer plant that you want in there, uh, and basically a turnkey solution for that. So that was really cool, and it went over really well. They're certainly not the only people doing it, but I think they're definitely doing it very well. And what did they get? Like three of the investors up there were yeses.
one of them to the point of reminding him that if he needed a check, that it would be written as soon as his
Yeah,
presentation was over.
yeah.
Um,
That was Doug Layton. He
It
was
was
with
Doug Layton,
Duchess
and
Capital. Yeah,
that just goes to show you the
yeah,
value of setting realistic expectations and goals for the product, because he really did. They weren't shooting for the moon. They were looking for a little bit to get started because they didn't have any products, which was actually one of the things that Kevin Harrington was a detractor for him. But a businessman of his stature, I understand why he doesn't want to get involved in a product that isn't at least a little bit market tested. Now, having said that, I thought that their approach to ask for a little bit first, to get some manufacturing and production in line, to get the information available, was really what set them apart from everybody else. We can move on. The very first product that was pitched was a cannabis real estate solution software
yeah.
and
It was
data analysis.
Herbfront. Yeah, Herbfront.com.
Now what they did is they took real estate information and data, and they found zoning compliant buildings for cannabis locations. Any tangible physical building that you would need to acquire for your product or storefront or what have you
Yep.
would be you would use this to find it quickly.
Hmm.
The main problem with the investors there is that they found or thought, and probably rightly so, I think I'm in agreement with them, that once the market dries up, there's no more product. So
Yeah, well, there's also I think there's definitely a slight problem with the revenue model with that is that they are basically taking money out of the real estate agent's pocket,
yeah,
and at the end of the day, I think the real estate agents are probably smart enough to just go around them.
yep.
And I don't know for sure, but that was the impression I got, and I think that was the impression that most of the investors up there got as well.
And
Um,
then moving forward from that, again, one of the other big ones that was there was HelloMD, which was a medical marijuana medical assessment. Their business model was basically that you would be able to talk to a doctor via mobile, essentially using a Skype or FaceTime sort of protocol to get the information that you need and get your analysis from an actual doctor. The investors didn't enjoy it, and again, I think I'm going to agree with them that once the recreational market becomes legal, it will squash the medical market. So there's going to be a lot of ancillary and tertiary business concepts that fall into that realm that may not exist in a couple years when the recreational market booms.
yeah, and the investor up there that made that point, I think, was Frank Marino with MJIC Inc. And yeah, we're of the same opinion. I think that you need to, well, like Kevin Harrington said, you need to look where the market is going to be and not where it's at right now. Otherwise, you're gonna get left behind.
Yep.
And to the credit of HelloMD, they're looking outside of just the cannabis space as that being something that could be applied across the whole medical field. But that being said, Marijuana Investor Summit, and everyone was kind of interested in more the marijuana applications.
Yeah, anything, and yeah. Having said that, with HelloMD, the detraction really is that once the recreational market begins to boom, that the medical market will drop off, and some of the ancillaries related to that. Having said that, I think that any cannabis-related mobile technology, apps, protocols, whatever, what have you, those are going to have some merit at some point in some way. So, the
Yeah,
development itself is not lost, but that particular angle
certainly
may
not.
not be the best.
Yeah. And actually, to bring it back, 'cause, we're pot stocks. We haven't talked about any stocks right now.
Yeah.
To bring to bring it back, so we did. Oh gosh, the baby's upset. So to bring it back to the stocks, there were several public companies that were represented at the summit. American Medical Cannabis Company, that's AMMJ, was there. Trent Wolevec, the chief operating officer, was kind enough to basically just talk to me for a good half hour about just their finances, their operations, the whole show, and it was great to sit down and talk with him. Chris Walker was there with Heliospectra, HLSPY. Uh,
HelioSpectra was great to everybody. They were very
yeah,
welcoming.
yeah, they had their whole team there, and they were definitely getting the word out. And they had set up some of their cool grow lights to showcase their products, which great. Yeah, I think that was tough for AMMJ. They're basically a consulting company, so that's kind of tough for them to set out a tangible product as much as just talk to people. But both great showings. And then I know Tay Darnell with SRNA was there, and I saw him. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I don't know if they were exhibiting either, but I don't think so. I didn't see him.
Fair enough. Yeah, we also ran into the CEO of LVTL Grow Solutions,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he was very on. He was on spot. He was on par. He's a very very excellent guy to talk to. We didn't really get a lot into the business aspects during that conversation, but the things that we were able to take away from it, they own a really high profile business. I believe, according to our current information, that they're currently at $1.25 a share.
Yep.
They're doing quite well, and it was one of the interesting things that we ran into where, on top of everybody being really ready to perform at the highest level, they were all still people. There weren't these business carcasses walking around that were nothing but wildly
shells,
disinteresting human
buy
beings.
our
They were all
products,
really
yeah.
engaging and friendly, and everybody was in great spirits.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's also an interesting thing because I mean, we do our best to do public stock analysis, and you can't really get into that in person with a public company so much because like it gets very technical. And if you're meeting them at a bar, that's weird.
Yeah. Well, and the
So
investor summit was a myriad of hi, how are yous, as most
yeah,
networking events are. It was a myriad of hi, how are yous, and business conversations, and the
yeah, but
segregation was not there. It was all interspersed. There was no distinct place to have quiet business talk versus the casual conversation. So you
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
fluidly moved from one to the next. It became difficult to get those things done, which is the nature of the event. So.
Yeah, but they're all super cool, and they all are interested in working, doing some interviews in the future. So that'll be good.
Yeah, we
Uh,
also ran into Bob from Cannabis Radio, who was exceptionally
oh yeah,
impressive.
Bob.
So if we
Yeah,
want to go over that for a minute,
yeah, Bob. I mean, Bob was just super cool, and he runs a great show over at cannabisradio dot is it dot net or
I
dot
believe
com?
it's .net. Yeah,
I think it's .net also. And he was just really I think he's got a finger on the pulse of the industry. And we sat down, we were talking for like almost an hour, um, and hopefully we could do some stuff with him soon too. So definitely, if you haven't checked out his show, guys, go and look at him, cannabisradio dot net. And I think he goes by Robert on there, but Bob.
So yeah, and the again going, it was just a really positive experience for everybody involved, and that goes right down to the people that ran it. David and Randy did a great job, and they worked themselves.
Yeah.
Wow, it was impressive. When I needed a sit down, they were running themselves across the floor. And for anybody that didn't have the pleasure of being there, the registration desk where the restaurant and bar registration area and some of the conference rooms was a good, I'm not going to say a full quarter mile, but it was quite a distance away from the keynote hall and the exhibition floor. So
Oh yeah.
everybody was doing a lot of walking. So for Randy and David, they got their exercise in because those men were moving and they didn't stop. So a huge thank you to those guys for putting it all together and really exhausting themselves in some instances to get that done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they had to deal with a lot of high profile type people. So that's always difficult in a place that you're trying to please everybody. And I think they actually did a really good job.
They did. They did. Vince held it down on the IT department side. He really, and you as well, actually. Everybody did a really good job keeping the computers running and making sure that everybody, no matter how soon to their speech time, had their speeches ready up on the computers and ready to go. So everybody did an exceptional job. Cannafundr and MJINews team both deserve the utmost respect and credit for their work there. So it was
Yeah, and also
excellent.
let's plug them real quick too, because I mean they did such a good job. So Cannafundr is a crowdfunding platform for cannabis businesses, and it totally works. So if you're an entrepreneur or an investor that's trying to link up with one or the other, go to cannafundr.com, sign up, and you will find what you're looking for. There's been several deals already executed on there, and shoot, I didn't even have to make a business page, and they reached out to me, so that was awesome. Um, Also, MJInews.com is the marijuana investment news, and that's like it's definitely setting itself up as the nucleus for the news of the industry. I've already, we met several of the writers there. The managing editor, Caroline Cahill, amazing. Um,
Who
and
also worked tirelessly the entire time we were
oh
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was our booth. The MJI News booth was like always like looking a little sad because everyone was running around so much, doing so much work.
At one
But
point, actually, Caroline had to sit me down and say if I wanted to, I was able to just sit back there and talk to people because I knew enough about it. I also did not have enough time, but
yeah,
just to give you guys an idea of how hard they all worked, their booth either had one person or no people in it at some points because there was a lot to do.
yeah, but yeah, go sign up at MJInews.com. Subscribe to that. Go sign up at Cannafundr. It's worth every penny. And hey, subscribe at potstocks.com. Also, shout out to Kevin Harrington who recently subscribed to us. That's
Thank you,
awesome.
sir.
Yeah, but so that's kind of the wrap up of the summit there. Anything else you want to touch on, man?
No, I think we pretty much got it. We got it all down. It was an excellent event, and just the point that I would like to, as a final note, I think to go over one last time is it really did set precedent for future events, both size, scale, scope, efficiency, and how well it was run, and the people that are going to be there. So, if you didn't have a chance to go or you're unfamiliar with it, I would really advise you to learn a little bit about it because it is going to be the gold standard moving forward for what these things are going to look like. So you'll be able to, obviously there's enough news written about it to check out who was there, what they said, and just see what was going on. If you're interested in getting involved, again, you're going to want to look at Cannafundr and MJInews and potstocks.com. These are they're great outlets for you if you're looking to get involved, and that should pretty much do for the wrap up. So I'm Eric. That is Chris. We're with potstocks.com. Go subscribe. Check out the forums. Please generate some threads on what you've heard today, and we will be back next week. Take care, everybody. Get out of there. Okay, we'll give this a go. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Eric and Chris with potstocks.com. After the groundbreaking first of its... I'm already going to start that over. Reading and speaking is actually more difficult. It's funny how I'll
like
just sit here and
down.
botch that and get super upset and be like, God damn it. I'm 30 years old. Okay.
Damn it. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Eric and Chris with potstocks.
Sorry. I'm 30 years old.
That's pretty awesome.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah, I gotta get the people's out now. Hang on. This is stupid.
We're good.
Okay. Maybe I shouldn't even be looking at my face. That's probably that's probably not
Yeah.
good.
All right. Good.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan?
All right.